Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have some more mods planned for the Colorado again. They're going to be a little bit bigger than last time, but still not huge, not yet. Stay tuned. All right guys, so there she is. We got a couple more mods planned today. Let's go over the list and get right into it. Here's what we're going to start with. So this is a third brake light. I will put links in the description to all this stuff down below. But ultimately what we got here is LEDs. These are the LEDs for the cargo lights. That's obviously the LED for the third brake light. Cargo lights over here again. So this is going to match the brake lights I have coming. These will also be going in right now. These are the LEDs for the vanity lights in the sun visors. So these are a 30 millimeter very specific type LED, and of course, like I said, I'll link them in the description down below if you want to get them. You'll need 4. And then we have this. This is actually called the Stubby, which is just a small antenna that replaces the long one that's on the truck now. So this is what it looks like. About 2 inches long, much different size here. So to really get a size comparison, that's the stock versus the stubby antenna. Like I said, nothing crazy here, guys, but this definitely hits a lot of times in my garage. And once I get the lift kit I want to put on the truck, this is probably going to hit underneath the deck where I park the truck. So this is something I needed to have done. In order to install this, literally it's just a screw on, screw off type situation, but I am going to put some dielectric grease on there just to kind of help keep water out and hopefully keep it from corroding or anything. I'm going to show the entire installation process for all of this stuff. So we're going to do the third brake light, stubby antenna, LEDs for the vanity lights, the Fender Flares, and the brake lights that are going to match this. So let's get right to it. So as you saw, I have my other one already off. It's literally, you just grab it and unscrew it. So the new one, just going to get screwed on. No rocket science here, guys. Just literally screw the new one on. And that's it. Gives it a nice low profile, looks pretty cool. It's aluminum, so don't have to worry about it bending or anything, but it's definitely a lot smaller. I mean, it cuts it down probably 4 or 5 inches smaller than the stock one. And for the third brake light, just like we did the other day when changing out the cargo lights, it's a T20 Torx bit. We're gonna go ahead and loosen this up and then get the new one put in. It's literally just as easy as squeezing this clip, pulling it off, and putting on the new one. There is the old one and the new one side by side. So we'll take the new one, go ahead and plug it in here. Just like that. All right, there it is. What do you guys think? So here we are in the interior. These are the vanity lights I was talking about. We're going to take our trusty trim pry tool, get it down in there, and pop these lights out, and then we can go ahead and put in these LEDs instead. So with this particular trim tool, you can actually slide it under here and pop it back, just like that. Here's the stock bulb in there. You may want to carefully use a trim pry tool again to kind of pop it out, but the center part here is glass, so be careful. Before and the after. Looks perfect. Perfect amount of light output, and it's definitely an updated look. Big thumbs up for me, guys. Like I said, I'll link these down in the description below. Feel free to check them out. Definitely helps give you that updated look in your truck. And here's one of the taillights. These are going to look amazing on that truck. A little too early to tell for sure, but I have heard some people complaining about the water getting in these connections after you put them on the truck. So before I installed them, I actually went through and put a bunch of silicone right here on the wires, just to ensure nothing gets in there. Some people have complained about the fact that after a couple months of these being on there, the actual connections inside here would get corroded, and then this taillight would basically stop working. So I put silicone on them, make sure nothing can get in there. And the actual wire harness that connects to this and then connects to the car, I did the same thing, just a bunch of silicone on the back part. And inside here, I'm gonna also put some dielectric grease just to keep as much water as possible out. I think the taillights look amazing. They're gonna look great on the truck, so I wanna make sure that they last as long as possible. Little bit of maintenance like this is definitely a way to keep it up and running for as long as I can. But to get the taillights installed, of course, I'm going to go ahead and drop the tailgate. And then in here, we still have the same T15 style bolts. So let's get those off. This is the harness for the LED taillights. This end will obviously plug into the LED taillights. This end will plug into the stock wiring from where the taillight is coming out. I went ahead and put a bunch of silicone on the back of these connections just to make sure that no water was going to enter in there. Like I said, I've seen a couple of different people complaining about this being an issue, so I wanted to take care of it before it became an issue for me. I'm also going to go ahead and put some of this dielectric grease on the ends that will connect. Again, just to keep as much water out as possible. Less is more with this stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze it into the actual connections there and leave it right like that. So as you can see with the stock harness, it actually runs all the way down there and you can't pull up at it. So we're going to have to go under the truck, get at it from the bottom. Here we are under the truck. If you can actually see that one wire plug right there at the bottom with the red on the back, you'll actually just grab that red, slide it back, and then just unclip it and clip in the new one. Here we go with the aftermarket taillight. Just drop the connections right down through there. And this should all just snap in like it was stock. We got the other taillight in. Now we're down under the truck again to plug in the aftermarket taillight harness right here. We're going to plug that in right here. Just like that. All right, what do you think? Left is obviously aftermarket, right stock. I'm gonna turn them on here for you in a second. Let me know what you think. I'll list everything I've put on the truck today down below in the description. So if you're interested, pick these up. These were actually pretty cheap on Amazon. They were like $240. So anyway, let's go ahead and get the one on the right done as well. To do these fender flares, this is the front passenger side tire. We want to clean this arch very well. From what I've read online, again, you want this to be as spotless as possible and then rub it down with rubbing alcohol. The truck is very dirty. Of course, up here in PA, there's just salt everywhere and the truck is just filthy. So I'm going to spend a good bit of time cleaning this up. I'm probably actually going to clay bar this area right here too, because there is some tar right there. Just really get it as clean as I possibly can so this stuff really sticks. And here is the comparison. The stock bolts that we just took out versus the new ones. If they're lined up at the top, they're just a hair longer on the bottom. So basically, these are the stock ones. You're just gonna discard these. We're gonna use these ones instead. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna just put the flare on here, put these screws in, maybe a thread or two, just so it's on there, but it's loose. Then I'm gonna come up here and mark where the double-sided tape needs to be split for the front bumper. Then we're gonna take the tape off the back all the way up to this point, stick it on there, tighten up the bolts. Before we start, I'm actually gonna take this end to give you a little bit of a starter strip here for this tape. I'm actually gonna pull this over the front here and put some painter's tape right there to hold it in place so I'm able to access it from the front. And then I'm just gonna start pulling this tape over all the way up after this is on there loosely with the screws. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and literally cut the tape right here, right before this split in the bumper and fender. I got all 6 screws in loosely, so I'm going to start down here with this little tab that I have sticking out and start moving the tape. And like I said, I placed a cut right here, so the tape will only remove to right there, and then the double-sided tape that's on there from here down will stay on there with the cover on it. That way, if I ever do remove the bumper, I could easily just pull that part off and stick it on as well after I put the bumper back on. So basically, we're going to start down here and just remove it all the way along here. Kind of pull this out towards you if it starts to get hung up at all. And we're going to go ahead and just stick it on there. All right, and it's on, so then we'll go ahead and just tighten down those bolts. So just to recap here, you can see right there's 2 bolts. Those 2 are obviously the aftermarket ones, but that's where you'll remove the stock ones from as well. Then you'll come up here for the next one. Right there's another one. And then moving further towards the front of the truck, there's the other one. Then we're going to start coming down the front of the front wheel well. There's one more, and then there's the last one. So like I said, there's 6 there altogether. Take out the old ones, put in the new screws, and you want to obviously leave it kind of loose. Then you can remove that tape. And if you're like me and you're not sure if that front bumper will ever come off, I just cut the tape right here with this X-Acto knife. That way from here down, the tape's still there. It's just covered with that protective film so it doesn't actually stick. Once I do take off that bumper and I'm certain I'm not taking it off ever again, I could pull off that protective layer and stick it on there and we'll be good to go. In the meantime, it actually still seals real tight against the body of the truck here. Not sure how well you're gonna be able to see that, but there's no gap along here. So we're still in business as far as that's concerned. I'm not 100% certain I'm not gonna do a light bar and stuff. So if I do, I wanna be able to get in there without removing this whole thing. On the rear wheels, same kind of thing applies. We wanna make sure this whole fender, well, the square part here is all cleaned up, ready for the fender flare to stick to. So I'm gonna clean this all up, clay bar it, wipe it down with rubbing alcohol, and start sticking this stuff on. On the back wheel here, down here there is 2 bolts, and then over here on the front there is 1. So there's only 3 bolts to hold this one together back here. Then of course your double-sided tape on the front, and up under here there's a lip that runs probably about 1.5 inches back. The instructions call for you to drill 2 holes. I'm not gonna drill, and instead what I'm gonna do is clean that area up there real well with rubbing alcohol. And once I put this in, you can kind of see on the other side here, there's a pretty decent lip right there. I'm gonna actually stick some double-sided tape on there the whole way along and stick it up in there rather than drilling holes right where those holes are at. I don't like the idea of drilling holes in this truck because, you know, that's gonna cause rust eventually. I know there's a bunch of stuff I could put up there after I drill the holes, like silicone and this, that, and the other thing to stop the rust, but I like the idea of just using double-sided tape because, I mean, honestly, double-sided tape is all over this thing anyway, so it seems like it's a no-brainer to just use that instead. Next, you want to just kind of loosely fit this in here, but actually put the screw in on this side because there's a little finger that reaches down in here, and we need to put some adhesion promoter on this plastic part here. So we're actually going to put some painter's tape right alongside this and then remove it. That way we know exactly where the adhesion promoter has to go and you won't see any leftover product after we put this on. This is what I mean. This little finger right here kind of wraps down around, and we want the adhesion promoter behind this part, not running down here. So I'm going to put some painter's tape right along this seam here. Then once we take this part off, the adhesion promoter will go right above the painter's tape. Okay, that's the final product. So like I said, there's 2 screws over here, 1 screw here, the adhesion promoter down on this little ear that connects to the factory wind deflector here. And then you literally just pull the tape out around it just like you did with the front ones, stick it on. There's a flat part on the inside. Like I said, I put some double-sided tape on instead of putting screws up through, and it seems like it's gonna hold pretty well. So that's what I would recommend instead of doing the screws. All right, guys, and the final product. The fender flares went on real nice and easy. Everything looks real good. I'm really happy with them. It really gives the truck a real sporty look. The taillights look fantastic. Everything is just starting to come together. This truck is gonna look amazing once I get that lift and bigger tires on it. Let me know down below, what do you guys think? So anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. So if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them in the comment section down below. This is probably gonna be it for the mods, the little mods at least for the Colorado. The next stuff coming, new rims, big tires, and a 6-inch lift. So definitely stay tuned for that, guys. I'm gonna be putting that in a video here very soon. Stay tuned. I'll catch you guys in the next one.